Hi, I'm George Nordhaus. Welcome to Monday Morning. Today is going to be unusual. I guess I say that every week, but we're going to be talking about sales strategy. You say, well, everybody's got a sales strategy. Well, everybody doesn't. And I found out this when I talked to Bob Sturtevant at Gibson Insurance Group. You've heard Bob before. We had a wonderful presentation with him and another guy uh, a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, and we're going to have some more because Gibson Insurance is really a terrific organization in northern Indiana and around South Bend and various places up there. And that's one of the biggest agencies up there. And well, and ironically, incidentally, when I came in, one of my second job in my life was to go back to Indiana. I'm a Hoosier too, and become the association executive of the Big I. And our principal today was the outstanding one of the selected the outstanding agent at one time at the Big I, but his former manager, well, I guess the founder wasn't Bob. Was Dan Gibson the found this whole thing? I think he did, didn't he?
Dan Gibson did find it was the founder in 1933 in
Oh my
Plymouth,
God.
Indiana.
Oh my gosh. Well, he was still around when I came into Indiana, and he hired me to be the Big I secretary. And so I've had a really close relationship with Gibson over all those years. Well, let me tell you about our provider. Well, let me see your picture here, and I'll let Bob tell us about himself. Bob, go ahead.
Well, first off, thank you, George, for having us for the Monday morning meeting. I know you send this out to a lot of brokers around the United States, and
Yep,
I'm humbled that you want me to present today. So I appreciate that.
my pleasure.
And basically, I've been in sales for some 30 years with Gibson. So it's a passion that I have. I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy helping clients to be more successful in their goals and objectives. So it's been something that I've stuck with and enjoy to do, and I subsequently like to teach others, about what I've learned over my years of experience. So it's a great opportunity, George, for me to really talk about what I do enjoy.
Well, I think it's great because
Uh,
your background's really strong, and your CPCU and ARM and AAI and all of that, and then you started with Allstate, but you overcame that problem. No, I shouldn't say that, should I? Shouldn't.
well, yeah, that's right. I started out with a direct writer, and it only took me about a year and a half to figure out I didn't want to stay there.
All
And but personal lines underwriting as a commercial lines underwriter at Salina
right.
in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and subsequently became a underwriting manager up in Traverse City, Michigan, beautiful north
Yeah.
part of Michigan, and so I was up there for a good 5 years. Then started with Gibson in 1985 as a broker, no book of business. Basically, here's the local phone book, Bob. Go out and write some business. So that's pretty much.
What you've been doing for 30 years then,
Yeah, I've moved off of the yellow pages though, so
did we all?
I'm not doing that process anymore.
Right.
And have discovered really better ways to reach your target audience
All right.
and bring them into the agency.
Well,
So
let's talk about that. And I can't resist by saying Traverse City, where you were stationed. I love that, and that's where I learned to ski up there. It was so great. And now, ironically, I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, looking at a 12,000-foot mountains right behind me here with the ski lift. So it's been, that's a coincidence. But anyhow, let's talk about uh, is sales leads or sales. Is it really as simple as all that? Go, you tell me.
right. Well, I put this slide up here because I think all too often it's misunderstood, what we do, and many people simply feel that if you play by the numbers, you will be successful.
Hmm.
Well, simply gathering up prospects and getting leads doesn't necessarily equate to customers. Now, you have to do prospecting if you're going to be successful. And the better you are at prospecting, the more effective you will be. So it's not that I'm saying that you don't prospect, but simply it's not just a numbers game. There's a lot more to it. I recall having many conversations that you do 10 calls and you're going to get 3 connections, and if you're working correctly, you'll get one appointment. So that's a tremendous amount of activity to simply get one appointment. And of course, the appointment doesn't guarantee you a sale.
Right.
And so it is a bit of a numbers game when you're prospecting, but you can also change the rules by learning how to be more effective. So, my first thing I would say is that it doesn't have to be this simple, and you can make it more efficient if you figure out ways to reach people. And of course, there are so many good ways to reach people today with social media, with email, LinkedIn, reaching out to prospects with relevant news articles for their business, things of that nature.
Right.
And to some extent, our customers suffering from burnout. In my opinion, if you talk to any customer, you will see that they are inundated with calls. So they are very much desensitized to any efforts made by salespeople today.
And it's getting worse before it gets better, It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
On that point. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the problems is everybody's using the same process, to some extent.
Right.
And there's really no good training and guidance for those new in the business as to, what's the most effective way. And, many times the prospect lists that you get are not even accurate. I've gotten lists before, and you call for John Smith, and the receptionist on the phone will let you know that, well, John died about 5 years ago. So, so the lists are not always current. In the industry, some may say that a 33% hit ratio for new business would be a good one, or at least acceptable. And is that really true? I mean, that seems like, big waste. 67% of the time you're not successful. So, you really want to try to, if you're not having good hit ratios and being able to improve on that, then, really look at the process. What's not working. We can always learn from unsuccessful opportunities. And I happen to believe that lessons from losses are much more valuable to me than my victories. So I will be able to tell you, George, stories on some of the worst outcomes. Those are the ones I remember, but I've learned from those. So this is a game of sales that we play, and that's how you learn. Is don't be discouraged with something that doesn't work, but then try to learn from it, and that will make you all that more effective.
Okay.
So another, who is the target audience that you're trying to reach? It's very important that you have defined this before you really start to prospect. Now the sales funnel, everybody has seen that, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. The more prospects you have that are qualified prospects that go into your funnel, what out comes out the other end is clients. But, I like a couple things in here that, number 2 is cultivating and building a relationship. Ultimately, you have to have your buyer trust you, and in order to do that, you've got to build a relationship. It's not so simple to just say, hey, I want to write your insurance and give you your policies, and if you're not developing a relationship with that prospect, you're wasting your time. So in the end, people do business with people they like, and so you have to be sure that they like you. So that helps you down the funnel. Positioning is where that's really is your value proposition. The things that you bring to the table is that are they strong enough to move that customer over to your side of the court. And so ultimately, yes, the funnel is still something we have to be keenly aware of.
Yeah, it sounds very simple. And we are back to the simplicity of the thing. You can go back to that. There you go. No, go forward. I like what you're doing there. All I'm saying is this sounds like selling 101, which it kind of is. But we all need to be. You're preaching to the choir. We all need to know a little bit about that. We kind of forget about these simplistic things. All right, ROI, like ROI, which I have.
Just kind of cutting to the chase, George, is buyers today are much more demanding than they've been in the past. That's been my experience. Over 30 years, the buyers today have very high expectations. Why? Because, quite frankly, the sales organizations are delivering more. They're delivering a lot more than just insurance, and they're providing a valuable resource to business owners for which they can gain knowledge, business consulting, some legal advice perhaps. I mean, there's many things that risk advisors today will do. But ultimately, if you're going to be successful writing new customers, you have to be able to develop a very strong return on investment. And the buyer needs to see that clearly. It has to be defined. And so that's really up to us professionals to try to develop that, and we have to create that. And we have to be keenly aware of what our competition is doing across town, and making sure that our return on investment is greater than theirs. And that's really the game. That's really the core of what
Sure is.
I guess I wanted to talk about, George. And I'm not using insurance terminology here. Return on investment is something that is a very prevalent business, and they understand what that means. So does the prospect really see your value? What is the return that you're going to provide to that buyer? Is price really the decision driver? So often I still hear that it was a price decision. You know, that I didn't have the right price, and therefore I was not able to be successful. And I would argue that price is down the list. It is a factor. It's a consideration. But you know, think about all of us as buyers. What do we want? We want the very best in whatever product and service is out there for the lowest price.
Of course.
You know, that is true. But people are willing to pay for quality. And when you're talking about return on investment for a business, you know, next to the God family, the owners of businesses really care about their organizations. And so they are very much concerned about quality and what kind of return can you give them. So how are you differentiated from the masses? You know, there are many producers out there today that they sound alike. Their talking points are the same. Presentations may look. You know, I can tell you most producers who do a proposal today, where is the price? That's the last page, right?
Normally, yeah.
90% of the time.
Sure.
Now, if you're innovative, at Gibson, we put it up first. That's the first slide they see.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's I like that.
You know, our clients were always, not clients, but our prospects might want to turn to the last page first, and you might laugh about it. But when you think about it, let's just get the price out of the way, because that's what we really don't want to talk about.
Like that.
We want to talk about the return that they're getting.
Right.
And once they see that, the price is in the ball game, or boy, that doesn't shock me, and I can deal with that, then you can really talk about the stuff that's important, and that is your value proposition, and how are you going to impact their financial statements, what kind of safety programs will you have for them, whatever the producer is really bringing to the table. And ultimately, that's my message today. It's very important what you bring to the table.
Well, yeah, and then interrupt this section, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes here. What you guys do, which I think is just really, really good, and and so we're leading to that, but it fits right there. It seems to me that's right there where you differentiate yourself. Well, let's go ahead though.
Yep. Bullet number 5: how you define success. I work with a lot of young people coming into the business, and I've trained a lot of producers over the years, and everyone will look at success is that you wrote the account. Success is you're on the scoreboard. This new piece of business was put up, and it was a nice size revenue, whatever. There's a lot more to success in my book than whether you write it or not. And I really work with producers to let them understand that you can get a business owner really impressed with all of your processes, on how much you know, your technical ability,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever the circumstances, you may not walk away with the order, but I would define that sort of impact as a success. And why is that, George? It's because you can pick up the phone in the future, and that owner's going to take your call. He remembers you. He remembers the process. You know,
Right.
I don't write accounts the first time every time. Sometimes it takes a second or third try. And so success can be defined differently,
Mm-hmm.
and I would encourage salespeople in the business to consider that. And I have seen some very good producers come in our shop, not write a single piece of business in the first year.
Oh my gosh.
But over 5 years later, they're at the top of the scoreboard. They're doing very well.
It's amazing to me that you would keep them if they didn't.
Right. And the other thing we talk a lot about is quantifying results. Can you actually show some hard information to a prospect what the impact of a safety program is, or what the impact of reducing the experience mod by 20 points?
Mm-hmm.
Or can you quantify what a large loss has done to them, not just in terms of hard costs, but what about the soft costs or the indirect costs? We do that at Gibson a lot, because we put these problems and define them in dollars and cents. And for an owner, yeah, it's got his attention. And so quantifying your results is very important. So, I just put this in here. I mean, many producers that are prospecting my clients, they will make really brash statements to my clients that, well, I can save 20 to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no idea what the client is paying. They have no idea who they're insured with, but they're just coming in. First introduction, well, we'll save you 20 to 25%.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're going to make these outrageous,
claims or whatever,
without knowing the information, why not go to 50%? I mean, you might as well. I mean, since you're just making it up. But I'm sure there are producers out there that understand and have heard those types of outrageous
I'm sure
statements. So, what could the return on investment be? Well, if you're going to be outrageous, I mean, I would say, truthfully, to a client, we potentially could save you $1 million over time. Now, does that have impact to a client? Oh yeah. And you talk about what's an uncovered loss, uncovered business interruption loss worth? Well, that's worth $1 million, easy. What about an automobile accident and they don't have fleet automatic coverage, and someone
Mm-hmm.
forgot to put a vehicle on the policy? Well, that saved them $1 million in an accident? Oh yeah. So you have to really go back to the return on investment and get the clients to respond to that. So defining value, and of course we've all heard a lot about value, but where I'm headed is, which is more successful, a risk advisor or an insurance broker? And in today's world, I would say that if you're not moving towards a risk advisor, you've defined that in your own world, because it's a term that's loosely used today.
Mm-hmm.
I even heard at lunch today that they're calling safety professionals now risk advisors. So there's not really a well-defined term, I think, as to what a risk advisor is. But we know that probably that the risk advisor is a consultant, and consulting in business, and certainly consulting in the areas of risk that businesses face. So that's where, if you're going to be successful going forward in this business, you need to be outside the box as far as just talking about insurance brokering. So ultimately, clients come first. Trust is something that is earned, and before you go through this whole process of working on a client's business, make sure that you're building trust. Experience can be a differentiator. Now, George, when I started the business, I used my underwriting background. And right out of the gate,
yeah,
I knew that that my competition did not have the technical knowledge that I had.
I'm sure not.
So I used that technical strength to be a differentiator and really spend time with the prospect, educating that client about what does agreed amount mean. What is blanket coverage? These are all insurance terms. And by defining those well to the client, they now had a keen understanding of, wow, this does make a difference. So I really think that that producers need to use industry knowledge. They need to use some of their research, which quite frankly is easy today. You can go out and Google and find all kinds of stuff. You can find OSHA violations. You can find litigation involving that organization. Usually their operations are pretty well defined. You can Google Earth and see pictures of the front door of their building. There's a lot of information, and use that research to differentiate yourself. Ultimately, you've got to be willing to tackle their problems, even when others may say, wow, you're just going to get used. You're going to spend all this time and fix their problems, and client's going to walk away and go to his existing broker. Remember, you have to earn their trust. And if you're not going all in, you're probably not showing that client that you trust them. So if you want him to trust you or you want her to trust you, you've got to show that you trust them. It's a two-way street. And identify risks that are not known. This is a big one in my book. When you uncover something that it really is a pretty major problem, and the clients have no clue that they have an issue, but then now they see examples of what could happen, that's a big motivator. So this comic I thought was quite funny, that good advice is 50 cents, bad advice is 25 cents, and this business professional will say, well, that's going to be another tough decision, another difficult decision. So it just shows that having knowledge, experience, that's something of value. It is worth, the price is really not all that relevant. Trends and analysis. We do spend time analyzing loss runs, analyzing trends, frequency of loss, severity of loss. We analyze a lot of things, and that helps to really customize, what you're trying to accomplish and the return on investment. Take some time, but it can be done. So effectively, I would say that most brokers today still lack a well-defined sales strategy. They may have worked on their strategy a little bit, and they think their process is more than just, the basics, but we spend time defining the process, really understanding the sales strategy that to be effective and efficient, because there's a lot of time spent on new business acquisition. So if you find ways to make it more efficient and bring clients in faster or larger customers, you've really created a sales machine, and that's ultimately what organizations are looking for. The elevator speech, I laugh because at times I'll talk to my customers and I'll ask them, have you had ever gotten calls from insurance people? And of course, almost every time you can almost.
Oh, sure. Naturally.
They say the same thing. Oh my gosh, Bob, I am getting calls almost every day. I get them, constantly. And they all want to do the same thing. They want to save me money, and they this, that, and the other thing. And my experience is the lion's share of these calls get ignored. It's just noise to them because it just sounds the same. So don't sound like everyone else. You want to be a little uncommon and use creative ways to build that opportunity. So ultimately, a strategy, and the thing I liked about the definition here is it's a method or plan chosen to bring about a desired future, such as an achievement of goal or solution to a problem. So really, those two words there, plan. You need to develop a good plan to make things work. And if you're not getting good results, then go back and look at your plan. And try to get some help at developing a better plan. And then a strategy is also defined as a solution to a problem. Ultimately, that's what the customer wants. They don't want problems. They do not want large losses. They don't want disruption in their business. So if you can show them how, first of all, you have to show them the problem that they have and help quantify what that problem is in their business so that they bring it to a top priority level. And then ultimately, you're the solution. That gets you on the right track. And today, I would say that a solution-based proposition is required to be successful. It's not an option. It really isn't. You may write some business just based on price, but you can lose that as fast as you got it. So getting the lowest price for insurance, is that really a strategy? What problem is resolved with cheaper insurance? Look at what the client's perspective, what problems are resolved if I have a lower premium. And as I've told clients in the past, the premium that you have is forgotten the day after you accept the proposal. You no longer really care too much. You made a good decision, and it's price competitive, and you've told somebody else to issue the checks, but you're really not focused on the premium. When they have their large loss a month from now, do they care about their premium? Of course not. They care about their protection. So the effect of writing the lowest insurance premium is usually short-lived. And then the other thing is that let's say the buyer bought coverage from you, but they really didn't like you. Isn't that transferable? And I've had this happen before, that somebody signed a BOR a week after I did my proposal.
Ooh.
I mean, that doesn't feel very good. I mean, nobody likes that when that happens. But yes, I consider myself fairly successful at selling, but of course that's happened to me, and so it's not. It can't be about just the insurance. There's got to be more to it. So successful advisors are what I would say are skilled at identifying the problems within a business organization, and they deliver workable solutions, and that would be the plan. Often the biggest areas of risk in business are not insurance problems at all. And those are not areas that you ignore. Those are areas you blow up. When you talk about the problems that you found in their business organization and bring them to the attention of that business owner or CFO of your buyer.
Right.
And they see what happens. It's gonna, it's a lot different conversation when they understand.
Well, when I went to you the first time, Gibson and I, and you showed me your team selling program, I thought that was terrific. And if the rest of you have not heard that team selling program interview yet, you need to go back a few weeks. It's in our archive for Monday morning. It's just phenomenal because they have 4 or 5 people on various teams around the selling, and they sell together. And I won't go there now, but you need to know that. But what I'm suggesting is, and they also, rather than just talk about the wonders of sales strategies and all that, They at Gibson have a wonderful system of going to the various universities and colleges there in Indiana, and they have a constant flow of new people coming to them in the summertime and the interns. Then when they graduate, and it's a beautiful system because they constantly get new people coming in who already understand where Gibson is going. Well, the reason I'm saying that is that now we've talked about the basics here. We're back to the basics of 101 sales strategies and so forth. But what about Gibson? What do they do? How do they cope with this? And then that's what I want Bob to show us right now is what they call the Gibson. Well, let's see what it is. Gibson.
Well, one thing you say there, George, is really important. Is when we bring in someone from one of the colleges and they intern with us and they ultimately hire onto a team and hire onto a sales team. The organization has a sales culture and a process that we can teach them. Mm-hmm. And if an organization doesn't have that sales process already, you're teaching that new person the wrong way of doing it, right?
Good.
So if you just hand the yellow pages and say go at it, they're going to develop the bad habits and have not the same success rate.
Good.
So that's what we've learned is it's got to be something that we can teach to others as we bring them into business.
GPS.
So basically, we branded. We've been working on our. I hate to call it value proposition, but
that's right.
We've really branded our process so that a client can easily understand it. And of course, GPS is something that's directional. You know where you're going. You have a roadmap. These are all terms that we use in our brand, so that a client understands that it's a continuum. We're moving them towards a better place. Their goals and objectives. So our process basically includes four stages: assess, plan, implement, and engage. So in our talk today, I talked about planning several times. That's a very important process, and that's where the client really is giving you input now as to what's important to them in their business. The assessment is really what many risk advisors do, and that's the identification of problems. They're looking at, yes, they're looking at policies, but they're looking at the operations. They're looking at machinery. They're looking at many things within that organization to see what areas of problems exist. And so the process, that we've defined as the Gibson Protection System, it includes these four items. And then ultimately, we've got to find problems. So where do we find the problems? We find them in these three categories. And this encompasses all risk. So strategic risks, business risks, and hazard risk. For the lion's share of the brokers that sell insurance, they're talking about hazard risk. That's the fire, that's the work comp accident, that's the automobile accident. Under business risk, you would have some business continuation issues, so like business interruption. There are some insurance issues there, but certainly many things under business risk that are not considered insurance risks. And then strategic, very little insurance in the strategic realm. You could argue some of the executive liability areas, directors and officers, but really when you're talking about, well, we're going to start selling products in Canada, that's a strategic risk. What are the risks of our salespeople traveling to Mexico? There's a lot. Those types of conversations, strategic risk, can be very motivating and very uplifting for a business owner or executive. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to uncover. What are the high impact areas of risk for a particular customer? Ultimately, if we don't have solutions, then we're probably not worth much to that client. So number one, we collaborate with the client. So that's brainstorming, finding out what are some of the solutions to the problem that we've uncovered? Is that something that we at Gibson could fix? Now, we have resource capabilities, but certainly not all the resources for every risk that we'll uncover. If I can't fix it or the agency doesn't have the resources, then what third parties are out there that you could bring into that conversation? And of course, any risk advisor can do that. They just have to know where to go. So clients don't always expect you to have all the answers, but they do expect and they want you to be able to know where to go. And if you simply say, well, I don't know where to go to fix that problem, that's not the answer that you want to deliver. So third parties, finding out, what is available out there, and if those third party resources would partner with your organization to fix these problems, wonderful stuff. And it really broadens your capability as a business consultant.
Well, let me ask one last question now. Do you take this Gibson Protection System, and obviously you must preach it inside the agency and all the people know about it. Do you tell the customer prior to the prospect, prior to that we have what's called a Gibson Protection System, and here's what we do?
Absolutely, George, because the first thing, the process, we basically tell the prospective client if they don't go through our process, then there's no opportunity for us to move forward.
Okay.
So if they hand us bid specifications and said, hey, go at it, go get quotes, we turn those away.
My guess is that this is a great sales tool for you guys.
We are operating not off of the anniversary dates. We would rather be working when the client is not concerned about his renewal. So, at the odd times a year when they're not getting any phone calls from insurance people, is the best time to enter in this discussion. And we've had some really amazing situations where we've engaged with a client 2 months after their renewal, and by the time we were done, we had the business. And they switched over either broker or insurance or whatever. We just had one last month. It was a July renewal, and this gentleman's insurance went up about 30%, and he wasn't sure why. And we met him in October, and we said, absolutely, well, let's go out. And we told him about the assessment process, and we went through the entire assessment, and we came out on the back end saying, you're paying way too much for insurance, but oh, by the way, you've got all these other things that are huge problems. And within 4 or 5 weeks, we delivered a very competitive proposal, and quite frankly, his insurance premium we cut in half. So,
my golly, what a great story.
It made it an easy decision, of course, for the owner, but my point is that without us getting an opportunity to do an assessment and getting all this information, just an open book of information, you don't really have the opportunity to help the clients in a major way.
Well, I agree with you. Let's show them how. I know you answer your questions. Let me show them how they can contact you now, Bob. If they do have any questions, you're not selling anything. You're just helping, and you always have, and that's what I love about you and Gibson and too. So they can call you. I don't know what they'd call about, but I bet maybe it could because. Do you get calls occasionally from people like this?
Oh, sure. After your last Monday morning meeting, I got some folks that have reached out to me, and I love what I do. So I have no problems talking about what we've tried and how we've done this. And again, the way we're doing things, our process isn't for everybody, but I think every insurance broker needs to really know and have a good process, define it well. And if I had a chance to talk to an individual, I would find some of their differentiators. I would find some of the areas that they have strength, and they just have to realize that they can use that differentiator to their advantage to developing something that's very enticing to a customer.
Well, I admire what you're doing, giving it back to the, passing it forward, as they say. And I always, my favorite quote, which is on my signature on my emails, is that from John Wooden, another one of our Hoosier buddies in the old days, from UCLA coach, of course. And he said that no day can be perfect until you've done something for somebody who can't do anything back for you. And that's what you're doing. So you must have a lot of perfect days, Bob. And I want to thank you for your time once again in time of Gibson, because you're passing it along, and we all need it. And to the rest of you, again, we're keeping on going. We got some really good ones like this one, and they're coming in more and more. So I will see you next Monday morning.